Chapter 109. Thank you for subscribing and joining us on our storytelling journey. The battles were over. The monsters and all other beings were dealt with in one way or another, and the feast was already being performed celebrating the surviving heroes and warriors who wared for my realm. But beyond acting as the host of the feast and owner of the realm, I had an even more important task after checking on Raven and Galatea and seeing they were fine beyond Galatea having a couple of broken nails from beating monsters to death with her bare hands. Silently I walked into the Einsburn's room and I took in a large glowing golden chalice that was as tall as I was and filled with my own divinity and the infinite power running through my realm. I gently laid my hand on the chalice and I could ever slightly feel Ilya, Azazyel, and the others' clearly compressed souls that were struggling to keep their core identity and ego under the crushing exhaustion of incarnating dozens of heroes and even gods into this world. "You can come out now," I whispered gently as I caressed the grail, and I felt an unimaginably heavy soul part through the dimensional barriers of my realm, and within a blink of an eye a light blue glowing ball that looked like a ball of blue magma was surrounded by two rings that orbited the ball of magma appeared beside me. For a moment there was silence until I spoke. "Alea, I feared you would be called here with the throne of heroes gate being opened." I spoke, and with a sigh, I let go of the grail and focused on the personification of humanity's will to survive. "So, seeing as the old man of the mountain isn't here taking off my head, what offer do you have for me?" I spoke bluntly, and the sun-like blue ball of life flickered with light that carried a power that reached directly to my soul to communicate. "Become a counter-guard and protect humanity in repayment for the Hiriok spirits answering the call." Alea's voice was like a soothing whisper of wind across a sand beach with the life-filled ocean's waters rushing to and from, while the sounds of countless humans speaking in the background filled the natural noises. But to Alea's demand, I shook my head chuckling. There was no contract or deal made for the help of the servants. I literally live in the lands of fairies, so don't play these games, Alea. Let's get to the brass tacks. You want a copy of myself to add to your collection, right? I asked, and the orb of light just floated there momentarily as though questioning about what I was thinking. Affirmative. Your power and soul manipulation would make a potent weapon against many of humanity's foes, while you are also not as arrogant and unmanageable as humanity's greatest typically are. Alea confirmed finally, and after another moment of silence, she spoke again. "A prime timeline is in threat of being purged, and I need a potent warrior that will be able to withstand a long series of battles over the course of years to eventually kill a copy of a personification of a planet. And with you being a realm lord, you are perfect for that." Alea explained, and my eyebrow raised before I snorted as I realized that she fucking wanted me to dance with either ORT or even Crimson Moon probably. After a moment of thought, I sighed and patted the grail. "All right, Alea. In return for fixing this grail and giving the homunculi within their improved bodies back, I will split off a chunk of my soul that you can take to be a counter-guardian for this grand mission you want that piece of me to do," I said, grimacing as I realized that even with the greatest mages in the DC universe it was still going to take some time for them to safely take the souls of Azazyel and the others from the grail, and for new bodies to be prepared. The time that these fading souls did not in truth have. In fact, that chunk of soul that you give me would be mine," Alea bluntly replied, and I snorted at her arrogance. "I reached this power level and killed gods in less than a year all alone, Alea. What can I do in 5 years with who knows how many powerful mages working alongside me as I help save that timeline?" I said coldly, and then continued with a more friendly demeanor. "Take the win, and should that piece of me wish to ascend and do other things, don't pull your bullshit that you do with Amia, as I am fully capable of blowing up planets via blowing up their cores," I said bluntly, and she floated there silently before another strong flash of light blitzed out, and I could hear groaning as the flash of light cleared from my vision, and down on the ground were the 4 Einsburn ladies. "Deal concluded on my end. In return for your copy's assistance, I shall let him free from his duties once he has saved that timeline, and I cannot interfere with said timeline directly, which is why I need his assistance." Alea finished, and with a grimace, I did as I already promised. With a wet splattering noise my hand buried itself into my chest, sending a cascade of blood and viscera onto the ground as my hand glowed with the purple power of my spiritual power. And with a groan of pure unadulterated agony, I tore off a chunk of like 10% of my soul, and I could see my vision going gray as this wound to my soul wouldn't be so easily healed as Alea gently took the glowing ball of my soul I tore off into her own core. Then without another word, Alea folded reality around the core of light that was her form, and then a rainbow of spatial energy spread outwards as she left my realm and almost certainly the DC multiverse as well, to take that chunk of my soul and use it as the core of a servant to be summoned. While I recovered from the pain within myself, I smiled, seeing Azazyel's heterochromia eyes of gold and blood red open dully as she stared up at me, and then a heart-filled smile crossed her face as I threaded my hand through her hair as I helped her head into my lap to give her a lap pillow while the other girls were resting. You all did so well. We won Iris Vale. Thank you for your sacrifice. I whispered to her and she kissed my hand that was petting her head.